Alright, hey guys, it's another Monday, and you know what that means? It's another murderous Monday. Now before we get started, look, my cat is over here. Hi Meow Meow. Hi Chloe. And again, I'm in my mom's room again, because my room is not finished yet, that I have to do videos and stuff with. And also, on my wrestling channel, I haven't posted a lot of stuff, because the next time I will post is my action figure in boxing action figure reviews, which I got like a lot, but it was like over like 2 weeks though. So alright, but anyway, let's talk about this channel, Murderous Mondays. I talk about killers, serial killers, rapists, bad people, and I upload every Monday, hence the name. And the next serial killer that I will be talking about is Thomas Silverstein. Who was he? What was his early life like? And why and how did he become so evil? I will answer that and more as I take you down the perspective mind of a killer. Now, obviously, if you guys do not want to hear about killing in any type of way, trigger warning. I would say leave this video and I'll catch you in the next one. Take care of yourself. Alright. But anyway, Thomas Edward Silverstein, born Thomas Edward Conway, February 4th, 1952, to his demise in May 11th of 2019. Was an American criminal who spent the last 42 years of his life in prison after being convicted for 4 separate murders. While imprisonment for armed robbery, one of the murders, one of which was overturned. Silverstein spent the last 36 years of his life in solitary confinement for killing corrections officers Merle Klutz and Marion. I don't know if it's true or not, but his last name is Penitentiary. In Illinois. Prison authorities described him as a brutal killer and a former leader of the Aryan Brotherhood prison gang. Silverstein maintained that the dehumanizing conditions inside his prison system contributed to the 3 murders he committed. He was the longest held prisoner in solitary confinement within the Bureau of Prisons at his time of death. Correctional officers refused to talk to Silverstein out of respect for Klutz, which is one of the ones that he killed. Early life. Silverstein was born in Long Beach, California, to Virginia Conway. Conway had divorced her first husband in 1952, the same year, while pregnant with Silverstein, and married Thomas Conway, whom Silverstein claimed was his biological father. Even though it wasn't. 4 years later, Virginia divorced Conway and married Sid Silverstein, who legally adopted her son. Silverstein was timid, awkward, shy, and frequently bullied as a child. They were in the middle-class neighborhood, not too poor, not too rich, where the family lived, in part because his peers mistakenly believed that he was Jewish. I don't know what that has to do with it. Virginia Silverstein demanded that her son fight back, telling the boy that if he ever came home again crying because he had been beaten up by a bully, she would be waiting to give him another beating. Silverstein states, "That's how my mother was. She stood her ground. If someone came up to you with a bat, you got your bat, and you both went at it. At age 14, Silverstein was sentenced to a California Youth Authority reformatory, where he said his attitudes about violence were reinforced. Anyone not willing to fight was abused. In 1971, at age 19, Silverstein was sent to San Quentin prison in California for armed robbery. 4 years later, he was paroled. Yes, paroled. But he was arrested soon after, along with his father, Thomas Conway. Oh, so his real father, his stepfather, while she was pregnant with him, was in prison with him, I guess. Thomas Conway and his cousin Gerald Hoff for the 3 armed robberies. Their take was less than $11,000 or $53,000 when adjusted for inflation in 2022. In 1977, Silverstein, this is the son. This is the one that's mainly one. Silverstein was sentenced to 15 years for armed robbery to be served at the United States Penitentiary in Leavenworth, Kansas. Murder at USP Marion. Silverstein developed ties with the Aryan Brotherhood. In 1980, Silverstein was convicted for the murder of inmate Danny Atwell, who reportedly refused to serve as a mule for heroin, like a mule or a basically like a hold on, what's the other word for a mule? Smuggling. So Danny Atwell got killed because he did not want to help him smuggle heroin. Well, for heroin being wait, let me do the sentence again. Danny Atwell, he killed Danny Atwell, inmate, who reportedly refused to serve as a mule or as a smuggler for heroin, being moved through the prison. He was sentenced to life and transferred to the United States Penitentiary in Marion, Illinois, which was then a high security facility. The conviction was overturned in 1985 after it emerged that the jailhouse informants who testified at his trial had perjured themselves at the stand, or had another word for perjury is forswearing. So swore at the trials. Where is it now? So I'm just gonna say it again. Trial had swore themselves on the stand. At Marion Prison in Illinois, Silverstein was housed in the control unit at aka a virtual solitary confinement regime reserved for extreme management problems. Prisoners prone to assaultive and disruptive behavior in the prison. It's basically like The Hole. If you ever watched J.D. DeLay, shout out to J.D. DeLay. If you ever watched The Hole, if you've ever watched him, then you know that he talks about the hole and stuff. This is basically The Hole. Probably. I don't know. In the prison. Thomas Silverstein spent his time in solitary confinement with a constant ceiling light, ensuring uninterrupted camera surveillance. He was allowed only 2 phone calls per month. I don't know how he lived through that. And received his meals through a slot. In 1981, Silverstein was accused for the murder of Robert Chappelle, a member of the D.C. Blacks prison gang. Silverstein and another inmate, Clayton Fountain, were convicted, and Silverstein received another life sentence. He avoided a possible death sentence since capital punishment in the federal level had not been reinstated yet. Silverstein maintained his innocence, which I don't know how. While Silverstein was on trial for Chappelle's murder the Bureau of Prisons transferred Raymond Lee, aka Cadillac Smith, the national leader of the D.C. Blacks prison gang, from another prison into the control unit in Marion. From the moment Smith arrived in the control unit, prison logs show that he began trying to kill Silverstein. He stated, "I tried to tell Cadillac that I didn't kill Chappelle, but he didn't believe me, and he bragged that he was going to kill me," Silverstein recalled. Everyone knew what was going on, and no one did anything to keep us apart. This is Chappelle. No, this is Smith, Cadillac Smith talking about Silverstein, I think. Excuse me. Hold on. I didn't know a good part. The guards wanted one of us to kill the other. Silverstein and Clayton Fountain killed Smith with improvised weapons, stabbing him a number of 67 times. Wow. After Smith was dead, they dragged his body up and down the catwalk in front of the cells, displaying it to other prisoners. Silverstein received another life sentence. No shocker there. Now, the murder of correction officer Merle Klutz, who we mentioned in the beginning. On October 22nd, 1983, Silverstein killed correction officer Merle Klutz at USP Marion after being let out of his cell for a shower. Don't drop the soap, am I right? Nah, this is serious though. Silverstein used a ruse to get Klutz he led him to get Klutz to walk ahead of him and positioned himself between Klutz and the other officers. He stopped outside the cell of another inmate, Randy Goatmetz. Goatmetz passed a homemade prison knife to Silverstein and unlocked Silverstein's handcuffs with a homemade key. Well, I guess every key fits a lock, I guess. Silverstein then attacked Klutz, stabbing him multiple times. Silverstein later claimed that he murdered Klutz in retaliation for Klutz's deliberately harassing him. Among other things, Klutz was accused of destroying paintings by Silverstein. Bureau of Prisons confiscates artwork when it depicts murder. I don't know then why, did they, I heard that John Wayne Gacy, the killer clown, I heard that he, painted while in prison. Did they confiscate them? I don't know. A few hours later, Clayton Fountain, also an Aryan Brotherhood member, used the same strategy to kill correction officer Robert Hoffman. USP Marion was subsequently placed on an indefinite lockdown, which subsequently placed on an indefinite lockdown, which ultimately lasted for 23 years. Wow. I don't know if that's right, but following the murder of Klutz, Silverstein was transferred to the United States Penitentiary in Atlanta, where he was placed in solitary confinement. His security status was recorded as no human contact. The events surrounding the murders of correction officers Klutz and Hoffman inspired the design of the federal Supermax prison in the United States Penitentiary Florence Administrative Maximum Facility, or the USP Florence AdMax, in Colorado, which opened in 1994 and was built to house the most dangerous inmates in the federal prison system. Silverstein and Gomez were both held at the ADX Florence. Fountain died in 2004 at the United States Medical Center for Federal Prisoners in Springfield, Missouri. Alright, riot in Atlanta and transfer to Leavenworth, Kansas. Remember that we talked about that earlier in this one too. During the 1987 Atlanta prison riots, Cuban detainees at the Atlanta Federal Penitentiary released Silverstein from his isolation cell. Bad call. They handed Silverstein over to the FBI's hostage rescue team. 1 week later, Bureau of Prisons officials were reportedly afraid that Silverstein would begin killing correction officers again if held hostage by the Cubans. Before the Cubans released Silverstein, the Cubans let Silverstein out of his isolation cell, and Silverstein was able to roam freely about the prison. One of the prison guards being held hostage had a history of being kind to Silverstein. When the guard would handcuff Silverstein, he would make it a point to ask. He would make it a point to ask Silverstein if his handcuffs were too tight. He was confronted by Silverstein and was ultimately spared by him. Bureau of Prisons negotiators were able to convince the Cuban riot leaders to hand over Silverstein as a gesture of good faith. A relatively easy decision for them, given that Silverstein's status was peripheral to the aims of the Cuban leaders during the riot. Silverstein was subsequently moved back to Leavenworth, Kansas, where he stayed for the next 18 years. In 2005, when USP Leavenworth was downgraded to a medium security facility, Silverstein was moved to the ADX Florence, a Supermax facility in Colorado. His earliest theoretical date of release was November 2nd of 2095. So he would literally have to be reincarnated in order. He would literally have to. There was actually no way of him actually getting out. All right, now we're almost done. One more paragraph. Allegations of torture and injustice, and then death, obviously. like the death paragraph was only like 2 sentences, so I just included this in this paragraph. So Silverstein claimed that the no human contact status is essentially a form of torture reserved for those who kill correctional officers. When an inmate kills a guard, he must be punished. A Bureau of Prison officer told author Pete Early, "We can't execute Silverstein, so we have no other choice but to make his life a living hell. Otherwise, other inmates will kill guards too. There has to be some supreme punishment. Every convict knows what Silverstein is going through. We want them to realize that if they cross at the same line that he did, they will pay a heavy price." Ted Sellers, a former convict who met Silverstein during 25 years. Excuse me. Let's see now. Ted Sellers, a former convict who met Silverstein during met Silverstein during 25 years spent in prison, said he became a legend at Leavenworth. Sellers told BBC News Online he is not as bad as they portray. Yeah, right. Yeah, he killed a bunch of officers. Yeah, I don't think so. Yeah, no, being sarcastic and being facetious. Sure, he is dangerous if they push him to the wall, but there were some dirty, rotten guards at Marion. They would purposely screw you around. You are dealing with a person locked up 23 hours a day. Of course he's got a short fuse. That's what Ted Sellers said to BBC Online News. Now, Silverstein died on May 11th, 2019, age 67, at St. Anthony's Hospital in Lakewood, Colorado, after spending 36 years in solitary confinement. He died due to complications from heart surgery. And remember, he was also the longest victim to his death spent in solitary confinement. Which, I don't think that's true. It said something up here about... Oh. Okay. He was the longest held prisoner in solitary confinement within the Bureau of Prisons at the time of his death. Alright, now before we get off of this video, I'm gonna give you a hint of what my next killer is gonna be. We're gonna be going to England. I think it's England. Or British. It might be Britain, actually. One of Britain's most infamous serial killers, and you know there's gotta be two of them. But, I know there's two of the most infamous serial killers in Britain. But I'll give you a hint of which one I'm talking about. Not the guy with the mustache. Not the guy that looks like not the guy that looks like the evil guy from Egghead from Sonic. But the guy that is locked in a glass box. I think he's still alive. I'm not positive, but he actually still might be alive. He's the longest prisoner to be held in solitary confinement in Britain. He with another inmate tortured and killed another inmate he tortured this inmate for like 9 hours before killing him. He ate part of his brain. And then when the lineup was called, he said to the prison, he said to officers that you will be too short because he killed 2 people. Now, if you know who I'm talking about, which all of you should, please leave it down in the comments below, and I'll catch you in the next video. Please like, comment, subscribe. Say bye, meow, meow, meow. Bye. Yeah, she's sleeping. All right, I'll see you guys later. Well, also before I close off this video, obviously, you know, I might just steal her line on Templeton. Don't be a bad person, be a good person. It's obviously getting cooler out, but just because it's getting colder out doesn't mean that you have to be. Catch you guys later.